Well, good morning and welcome to this morning's Wake Up Well. It's Wednesday, the 14th of April, and you join me here in my garden shed. Balloons from an earlier birthday celebration this week. But today we're going to continue this celebration of resurrection life, looking at, or continuing to look through the chapter of John 21. And the verses I'm focusing on today are verses 20 to 24. So let's just read that and then jump in. It says, Peter turned and saw that the disciple whom Jesus loved was following them. This was the one who had leaned back against Jesus at the supper and had said, Lord, who is going to betray you? Now you see, when Peter saw him, so when we're talking about the one that Jesus loved, we're talking about John here, John the evangelist. When Peter saw him, he asked, Lord, what about him? Jesus answered, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You must follow me. Because of this, the rumour spread amongst the believers that the disciple would not die. But Jesus didn't say that he wouldn't die. He only said, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? This is the disciple who testifies to these things and who wrote them down. We know that his testimony is true. So yesterday, Anna did a fantastic job of unpacking the previous portion of John 21. And if you've not actually watched that, I'd encourage you just to scroll back a bit down the feed and do so. It really was good. But she discussed the challenge that the resurrected Jesus had brought to Peter following Peter's denial of Jesus at the cross. Jesus' challenge was to actually remind Peter that following him, as well as being wonderful, actually comes with significant challenges. And actually he went on to say that Peter would actually die a pretty gruesome death. But even that being the case, Peter still chose to recommit himself to Jesus. And ultimately Jesus restored Peter to his place. But hang on a second, here we are in these verses, having had this incredible encounter with this now resurrected Jesus. Peter starts looking over his shoulder, not wanting to truly sit in and reflect on his own journey with Jesus, his own unique calling. He starts to reflect and ask Jesus, well, what about those guys? What about him? What about him? All of a sudden, we start to get these comparisons coming on as Peter looks beside him at these other guys and says, well, what about them? Why are they not doing things right? Or what's their problem? Or whatever, kind of saying, well, he's not all that special. And Jesus, has to challenge Peter yet again. But the choice of challenge here is actually quite interesting because, as Jesus says, if I want John to live forever, then what is it to you? And that's particularly interesting because, of course, just before this, Jesus had told Peter that he would actually suffer a pretty gruesome death, and so in some ways it must have felt to Peter like a bit of a slap in the face, really. Hang on, why does John get to live forever and I get to die a gruesome death? Those were the comparisons that were going on. And contrary to what some believed at the time, Jesus wasn't actually saying that John would live forever. He was saying, it doesn't matter, what is it to you? As in, come on, it's not your journey. Stop looking at everyone else's and focus on me and what I'm asking you to do. Stop comparing yourself to every other person on the planet. All you need to be is who I've called you to be. And all you need to do is to step into that calling and put your hands to the things that I'm asking you to put your hands to. Everything else is completely irrelevant. So today, as we hear these words, I would ask us to take the invitation. Yes, it's a challenge, but it's actually an invitation. It's an invitation from Jesus, and to take it to heart. Stop looking at that big exec, in your company, or that super incredible family member that always gets everything right. or that celebrity or that incredible church leader that you look after and you admire. Like there's someone to emulate or someone to be jealous of. Just submerge yourself today in the love of the Father and listen to him and him only. Yes, be polite and honouring and respectful and loving to those around you. But those relationships are for now and now only. The relationship that your loving Father invites you into is eternal. Stop comparing yourself to everyone else. Choose to listen to him and him alone today. Have a wonderful day.